in your mouth, better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off in my brain and I'm back to the bone.
Welcome back to the Kartrider Drift League. We just wrapped up our first match of the night. It was a team match where Sungnam Rocks will take the victory against Team Always. And now, another team match awaits us on stage. And first up, it will be MIRAENSEJONG.
Yeah, this is the headliner match of the day. MIRAENSEJONG versus Liiv SANDBOX. Two veteran teams going up against each other. MIRAENSEJONG, kind of the re-kitted, retooled roster built around Kartrider legend Hojun, and they're looking really good. Only running a four-man squad here, the speed ace Hojun, one of the best runners in the business, as well as Guard, who's done some excellent sweeping, and Nock, who is one of the best hybrid players you could possibly ask for. This guy could be an item ace on a variety of different teams, but he's also very good in speed, so MIRAENSEJONG confidence to run a four-man roster, and they're going up against another re-kitted Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, I mean, Liiv SANDBOX, of course, just in terms of brand power, a legendary name here in the Kartrider universe. But coming into the KDL, while sure, they had a good start, they haven't yet been able to really prove themselves as the top dog in the preseasons. They've been dethroned by the Guangdong Freaks in both preseasons, and now they're here to say, okay, this is where it matters. It's going to be the regular season is where we shine. They've now had a preseason with Byungsu to kind of get adjusted into this team setting of Liiv SANDBOX. He seems to be doing a lot better coming into the regular season. We'll see if he can keep it up with the rest of the team.
Yeah, if you guys followed the preseasons, you might know Byungsu as Speed, which was his former roster when he was paired up with Hojun, but now, of course, going to his Korean name, Byungsu. He's been looking really good. He is one of the best racers on this team, and him plus Hyunsoo with Neil is kind of a 1-2-3 punch that very few rosters in the world can compare with. But MIRAENSEJONG looking to really prove themselves here as well. And looking at this right now, Hojun and Guard actually dominating in speed. 3rd and 5th individually so far in team speed mode.
Yeah, and in fact, this team actually, they consistently win with a 1-2-3 finish in speed mode, not just a 1-2 either. So they're just overall dominating in speed mode. And of course, we saw their little tagline there saying that Hojun is able to keep his composure and, just trying to enjoy the weekend. But Hojun, I mean, his heart rate actually didn't go above 100 during that ace match against Looting. So it just shows the veterancy that he has, how comfortable he is on stage.
I mean, this is like a second home for him, right?
Yeah.
Some of these rookie teams that we were watching on the opening week, or the first week and the second week of the regular season since we added those heart monitors was so much fun because the rookies will go up above like 180, 190 beats per minute. And then you see a veteran like Hojun, a legend in his own right, who is not going to shy away from the biggest stages. And neither is this roster that you see right now. And Liiv SANDBOX, since the preseason, losing some players to military service, now coming in with Dalda as the item ace. They're looking to be formidable opponents. They want to try and stop KDF from really running away with this one, but they lost to them in the opening weekend match, and they still have a lot to prove.
Yeah, and of course, Liiv SANDBOX, they were one of the teams that participated in kind of the event match down in Daejeon right before the regular season kicked off, where MIRAENSEJONG actually took the home victory. They took first place. So Liiv SANDBOX just saying, hey, listen, that was a different time. This is now the regular season. We're not going to repeat the same mistakes. We'll see how it comes down as we take a look at the speed track list. Speed priority taken by MIRAENSEJONG as they win the coin flip, and they will be kicking things off over on Village Handy Harbor.
And kind of an interesting pick there going for Village Handy Harbor. Their number 2, number 3 picks will be World Tour Miami and Drive and WKC Mexico Touring Rally. So honestly, I see that, and I think they're showing a lot of respect to the speed racing capabilities of Liiv SANDBOX. They don't want to be on too technical of a track if possible, and For Liiv SANDBOX coming through, WKC Shanghai Circuit and Village Bayside Bridge Run, which we have seen some interesting builds on in the preseason. I wonder if we'll see that here again today. And it should be a really close speed match, I think. On paper, both these teams, they have very star-studded rosters. Liiv SANDBOX maybe with a slight edge, but as you said, MIRAENSEJONG, they beat them before. Can they do it again here in the regular season of the KDL as we get ready to ship it to the first track? It's going to be Village Handy Harbor.
All 8 racers begin as we take a look at the speed mode matchup between MIRAENSEJONG versus Liiv SANDBOX. Hojun shooting off into first place alongside Hero. Not already there with Guard just to start sweeping, and they have entire control of the top 4.
Yeah, this is kind of a nightmare scenario here for Liiv SANDBOX as Hyunsu finally able to break 3, but Guard is so good at body blocking and fighting and doing all those body checks to keep Liiv SANDBOX in business. And I mean, you can see it right now. He's just trying to zone out Jimin and make sure that it's a 1-2, or a 2 versus 1, I should say, between Hero, Hojun, and Hyunsu.
Yeah, and Hojun kind of just happy to take that second place to make sure he's the one who's blocking off Hyunsu. Hero now having the reins to keep first place. Hyunsu's finding these openings. However, we have to remember, Hyunsu's now the dedicated sweeper here on Liiv SANDBOX. If he has to be playing the speed ace, this runner, to try to just keep a position, the rest of the team has to start pulling their weight.
Yeah, Jimin's starting to, man. He's working his way up the ranks. He was able to get past the sweeping of Guard, and now he could join Hyunsu and also Byungsu. Speed working all the way up into the top 3, so it's going to be a 1v3 right now with these Liiv SANDBOX racers trying to unseat Hero from that first place position. You can see the pressure they're putting on him.
Yeah, and Hero, he had a nice little build there on the first shortcut to make sure they can't try to pass him on the inner line. Does so again as we go through the second one, but Guard, can he catch up? Because otherwise the 2-3-4, it's so close to Liiv SANDBOX. It's going to come down to the wire. 1-2-3 should be in order, but Guard, can he keep up in fourth? So does Knock in fifth, and it will be a 21-18 point difference in favor of MIRAENSEJONG.
Wow, a really close race to start things off. I thought Liiv SANDBOX was in a pretty prime position to take track number 1 when they had the 2-3-4 lined up, but as you said, the sweeping was just superb. Hero did a great job there on MIRAENSEJONG as well to just lock that one down, and they're going to take speed track number 1.
Yeah, I mean, Hero with some great decision-making in that last lap. The first shortcut, he does a bit of a stop there after he goes a bit further wide first, then takes a sharp turn, make sure they can't try to squeeze in between him or bump him into the wall as a result of making him lose speed. And then he does so again on the second shortcut, securing first place. It gives an opportunity, actually knocks Hyunsu all the way back down to 8th place. Meanwhile, his teammates can try to catch up in the midfield. Just a great setup, and it goes again to show why they selected that track.
Yeah, their game plan absolutely working to perfection now as the teams get ready to go into track number 2. MIRAENSEJONG with a 1-0 lead here in this speed mode best of 5. We'll see if they can build on that one or if Liiv SANDBOX is going to strike back as we move to track number 2, WKC Shanghai Circuit. MSJ in the previous track had a really great start with Hojun pulling away in first place right from the get-go, but here on Shanghai Circuit, it's actually Hyunsu from Liiv SANDBOX who's doing the sweeping, doing the body checking, trying to keep MSJ in check.
Yeah, and Hyunsu, if he's able to just make sure that no one shoots too far ahead, you've already got Neil and Jimin right behind you. Neil, not a player we actually mentioned at all during the first track, kind of forgotten as we do see a bit of a collision against that shortcut. Nice pressure coming in from the players of Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, Hojun falling all the way down to 6th place, and so Liiv SANDBOX in a really tremendous spot right here is actually Hero losing some momentum. That was some nice sweeping to get some damage done on LSB, but with Hyunsu and Byungsu both in 1st and 2nd place, and the Nitro gauge looking really good for Team LSB as well. A lot of pressure right now on MIRAENSEJONG, but Hojun and Guard, they are moving up in the midfield. You can see on the minimap how close this race has become. If they can unseat this 1-2, MSJ has winning chances.
Yeah, and Hero, he's doing it all on his own, purely through speed itself to try to catch up against both Byungsu and Hyunsu. Now with the pressure, it actually completely wins the mind games, forces both players of Liiv SANDBOX to take opposite ends of that shortcut, bump into the tires, and now Hojun holding on to first place, but it's neck and neck against Byungsu.
Yeah, Byungsu and Hojun threading the needle there, but Hojun coming in ahead with first place, and now Hero, he's looking for the draft, actually able to pass Byungsu right now, and now body blocking him on the turns. Byungsu's just getting zoned out. MSJ, they're looking ready for that 1-2 finish, but Byungsu, will he be able to find the outside angle?
He's looking for that opening. He's able to thread it. Opens it up for Jimin as well, but it comes down to the wire once again. Hoja's still holding on to first place. Byungsu just wants to break apart. He's going to hold on to second. No, Hero passes him at the very end for a 1-2 punch, and it's going to be MIRAENSEJONG leading 2-0.
And LSB had the 3, 4, 5, 6, but as we all know, 1-2 is a win condition here in speed mode. So Hojin and Hero really showing some heroics in track number 2 right now. Off to the races we go, as I really want to see the timetable on how close it was between Hero and Byungsu. It felt unbelievably close, and yeah, just a fraction of a second separated this from a LSB victory and an MSJ one. And instead, it's going to be MSJ who comes up ahead, now 2-0, leading this best of 5.
Yeah, once again, I want to give a round of applause to Hero. I mean, the mind games he played, the pressure he puts on coming into the second lap forces both Byungsu and I believe it might have been Hyunsu at the front. Maybe it was Jimin. They both bump into the tires. That opens it up for Hojun. And then Hero, once again, using his boost on an off-tempo timing around the curve, gets the draft on top of it to make sure he can catch back up to second place, and they're able to just apply that pressure. I believe this is exactly where it happened. Yeah, Hero bumps him actually just straight up into the tire, not even just mind games, straight up sweeping from behind. And then Hero once again keeps Jimin in check and then catches up with a nice timing on his boost.
Really a disastrous section of the map there for Team Liiv SANDBOX on the second lap. And now if they want to come back and win speed mode here against MSJ, they need to start a reverse sweep now. They need to win 3 tracks in a row. It's got to start here on World Tour Miami Drive.
And the race begins. MIRAENSEJONG currently leading 2-0, looking at set point if they can get the victory here in Miami.
Yeah, they're off to a good start as well. Actually, it's Knock and Guard leading the charge here for MSJ. Previously, it was Hero and Hojin pretty much time after time in the first 2 tracks, but LSB, they are able to fight back. SANDBOX doing really well, and now it's up to them to kind of get some sweeping in. Really, the sweeping hasn't been able to come through very much on their side of things. It's mostly been Guard for MSJ, and also Hero coming through from that pole position with the sweep checks.
Yeah, but now you do have Byungsu and Jimin, like you mentioned, State, so that allows Hyunsu to kind of play a little bit more freely with the sweeping. Neil here to assist him as well. Neil, of course, a player who could always shoot back forward as well to provide backup in terms of placements if needed.
Yeah, one of the players with the best raw skill in the world as he comes in here with a lot of potential, but as you said, the role right now in this 2-lapper is mostly going to be to try to keep Knock and Hero in check, because that 1-2 is a win condition. Neil went for a big fight there on Knock, wasn't able to get a significant hit, but did slow Hero down a tad.
Yeah, and that breaks apart the duo of Knock and Hero, right? So they can't start to draft off of each other and look for those timings. And now has to be a solo play. Knock, ooh, he barely catches on the boost, so he's going to be able to recover. That could have been risky. Knock still in contention for a podium finish, but whereas teammates Guard still too far, and Hojin and Hero locked into 7th and 8th.
And Hyunsu right now with some sweeping, able to take a lot of the momentum away from Knock, and this one might secure actually the 1-2 finish. Look at his body check!
Hyunsu, even off the walls, he's just bought so much time. It doesn't matter that he's falling behind because they have the 1-2. If Byungsu and Jimin are this far ahead, draft's nowhere to be seen just yet, and they're still able to just keep optimal lines around the corner. This is going to be tough for MIRAENSEJONG to catch up.
Yeah, MIRAENSEJONG are trying to take the tightest possible lines and draft off each other if they can break up this 1-2. They have a chance at winning it. They're getting closer and closer. Knock in drafting range now behind Byungsu.
Straight boost! Oh, he's able to bump against Byungsu, but Byungsu defends against Jimin, and that secures the 1-2. Byungsu, good block and recovery, because if he breaks away from second place, it Liiv SANDBOX actually loses the race, but just an absolute top-class showing from both teams. The Liiv SANDBOX are able to recover speed mode, now trailing 1-2.
Yeah, and I love how Liiv SANDBOX was able to identify their win condition so early on that track. They knew they had 2 players running away with it in positions 1 and 2, and so it was all on Neil and Hyunsu just to try and cause chaos in the middle ranks. And you know how good the body checks were from LSB? MIRAENSEJONG still almost came back.
Yes.
That was unbelievably close. If that last body fight goes MIRAENSEJONG's way, then suddenly the 1-2 is broken up, and maybe we have a 2-3-4 finish or something like that in the cards for MIRAENSEJONG. And so a win, it looked commanding for Liiv SANDBOX from the get-go, but MSJ still able to fight back quite hard, and it's still a match point. They still only need to win 1 more track to take a speed mode victory against Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, just great plays from both sides, but the race isn't over just yet. Liiv SANDBOX still wanting to go the entire distance in speed mode as we go to round 4 on Bayside Bridge Run.
We head to Liiv SANDBOX map of choice here as they remain on match point. They need to win 2 more tracks to stay alive here in speed mode against MIRAENSEJONG. And so far, a really good start. Neil, this time, really waking up, leading the charge with Hyunsu and Jimin. And now the sweepings are going to have to come through as they try to hold on to this lead.
Yeah, but we saw what Hyunsu was able to do on that previous round. But look at Hero. He finds that opening as they come out of the tunnel. No one taking the inside line. And Hero just saying, right now we have to make sure that Liiv SANDBOX can't get too far ahead. So he's here to apply the pressure alongside Guard. And this should buy time, for their teammates to come up like Hojun.
Yeah, Guard right now even focused on slowing down Jimin a little bit, not really focused on getting 1-2 himself. Just trying to set up for Hojun, another player that could be a speed ace on many teams. As Hero continues this 1 versus 2 battle now coming in. Neil will go on the curb for that build. It's a bit of a riskier one, but Neil able to make it pay off.
Yeah, I mean, no opponents in sight, so he's making sure that he's able to keep the lead just a bit alongside Hyunsu. Now, Hyunsu and Neil seemingly deciding that they're going to be the 1-2 punch, so it's up to Byungsu now for the blocks. Hero, he's constantly looking for a good opportunity. Look at that. He not only threads the needle himself, tried to block out Hyunsu. It doesn't pay off in the end, but a great attempt again from Hero. He's trying to buy so much time, but Hojun and Guard, they're still further behind.
I mean, Hero's just doing an incredible job. There's been a 1v2 or 1v3, and he's just able to find the inner line and evade the body fight, just threading the needle, as you said, and trying to buy time. And now Hojun is getting closer, so right now it's looking like a Liiv SANDBOX victory, but if MIRAENSEJONG can come out with some heroics here as we enter the final stretch. Hero now in first place, 500 meters left to go. Liiv SANDBOX, they're falling behind, they're going for the build. Up here on the curb, Hero still in first place, but Liiv SANDBOX, they do not have enough points on the board. It's gonna be a 1-4-5-6 for MSJ as they take speed mode 3-1 over Liiv SANDBOX.
Hero, absolutely the hero that MIRAENSEJONG needed tonight as he's able to bring home yet another amazing victory here in Bayside Bridge Run. Just the way he was able to maneuver around those podium finishes for the entire race and eventually take the opportunity when he sees it. He's able to keep the lead. Meanwhile, I mean, Guard comes knocking at the door of Liiv SANDBOX, and Byungsu eventually falls all the way behind. Jimin even, he was single-handedly tasked with keeping Knock in 8th place, not able to succeed on that front either.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX just frankly getting outplayed in speed mode as Hero looks to be, you know, the form that he's in today, he seems like a top-level racer. That was some world-class speed against one of the best speed mode teams that we have here at the KDL regular season. And
yeah, this is kind of a callback to his debut season where he became a Royal Roader back in 22, right? Back in the original Kart Rider League. He's starting to show why he was able to win that time and then also try to continue that hype. But now we get ready for item mode. Of course, no swaps on the side of MIRAENSEJONG. Meanwhile, the man you see on screen, Delta, will be coming in as the item ace in place of Neil.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX with some depth in the roster will be swapping out their speed specialist, Neil, for that item ace. And it's an important switch, too, because if they want to force that ace match, if they want to try to stay alive here against MSJ in a critical, you know, potentially podium-deciding move, as they already lost to the Freaks earlier on in the season. If you lose to MIRAENSEJONG and they continue to perform at this level out over the course of the regular season, you're going to have a tough road in the playoffs. As we now look at the item track list, of course, MIRAENSEJONG, they did take speed priority, so Liiv SANDBOX can get the better end of the picks on this one.
Yeah, and it does look like Liiv SANDBOX taking us to some classic tracks of Motherlode and Magma Cavern in round 1 and 3, then to Dark Castle on that graveyard theme all the way at the end. Meanwhile, MIRAENSEJONG is going to be Mushroom Caves and Clock Tower Crossing. So MIRAENSEJONG going for relatively very straightforward tracks here, while maybe some chaos waiting for us on these mine tracks selected by Liiv SANDBOX.
Surprising, we only have 2 3-star tracks in this one, as we're going to be starting out item mode here on Mine Motherlode. One of those 3-star tracks, Liiv SANDBOX coming through with a pick. Will they be able to get the win and potentially force that ace match?
like to do this now and then on the KDL. Make sure you guys are all watching and paying attention. A bit of a fake out, but we will be waiting here for that track to begin on item mode. Just gonna make sure that the lobby is all properly set up and ready to go. Now and then just making sure to do some last minute checks. I have to reboot the lobby. So just please bear with us. But that does give us time a little bit to talk, because sometimes, let's be honest, State, sometimes KDL moves a little too fast. Like, we want to talk about the players and the tracks a bit more, and we're just like, okay, well, let's talk about this player, never mind, back into the next track.
I almost feel like an auctioneer sometimes with the analysis that we have to do. There's so much to say in really a short period of time, but Liiv SANDBOX, frankly, just getting outplayed right there in speed mode, which is a concerning thing for me, because you got to think that MSJ, you know, even if they do lose in item mode here, say that Liiv SANDBOX even is able to sweep this thing, Hero, with the play that he was able to bring in speed mode, just individually, it was out of this world. And he is the speed ace on MSG. It is not Hojun, which you might think, because on paper, Hojun, you know, being a legend, of course he's going to be the speed ace. No, it's Hero, and he kind of proved why they're in speed mode. So I'm worried right now for Liiv SANDBOX. You know, even if they win item mode, should we go into that ace match, you think that with the performance that he's put on today, it's going to be Hero coming out from MSJ, and
oh, yeah.
I don't know if anyone on LSB can actually stop him.
Yeah, the condition that Hero's in today, absolutely. I mean, maybe sure just because of, again, the calmness of Hojun, depending on the track, but I would not be surprised if we got there at all, if it's going to be Hero. Meanwhile, we do have a packed house in the studio tonight. And well, we should also mention, for those who haven't been able to follow the entire history of KartRider, pretty interesting match here because of how deep the history is on MIRAENSEJONG. Whenever they meet some of these other pro teams, they're going to have a lot of ex-teammates, right? So earlier you mentioned, of course, Byung-Soo being an old teammate of Sensation back on preseason 1 with Hojun and Guard. But you actually have Jimin, who used to be teammates with them as well back in the KartRider League when Hojun was coaching. And then afterwards, actually, it was Hero who joins that team under the coaching of Hojun and becomes a Royal Roader in his very first season. So curious to see how that chemistry continues over here on MIRAENSEJONG. And also, you know, how much do they know their ex-teammates over on Liiv SANDBOX?
I mean, there could be some mind games in that too. You know, you play enough games with somebody on, whether you're a teammate or an opponent, going up against each other, and you can kind of get some insight into their styles. Oh, we had like playing cards
for Neil. It's just like his own little little album. All right, we got a super fan in the audience. I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm digging it.
I'm also a Neil super fan. I'm with that guy.
I mean, Neil's just so likable as well, right? I think that's one of the biggest reasons he has such a huge following. And of course, you know, all the fans from both teams just having fun.
Look at that art. He looks like a villain in an anime.
I've never seen him look so angry. He's actually very kind of, he does show, yeah, he does.
All right, fellas, we're gonna try going in item mode one more time. MSJ winning in speed as we move on to Mine Mother mode.
It's not good to lie to the audience, State.
I'm sorry. It's just a habit at this point. I can't help it.
I mean, yeah, we see the screen come up and we're like, all right, well, first of all, we got to do our duties, but we'll just wait and see. Thank you for bearing with us. Listen, things have happened before, and we're fairly quick here at the KDL to move things along.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's probably an issue with one of the players' PCs. I mean, we have so many computers that are on stage, not only just the players, but also the observers. It's hard to run a production like this one, let me tell you. It's a lot of effort. It's a really big team that goes into this. I think we're actually getting into it. Okay, guys, for real this time, Mine Mother load, item round 1.
Here we
Let's go.
Third time's the charm, and we don't even wait for the countdown. We just jump right in here to item mode. Now, this is our very first track in item mode. So, MIRAENSEJONG, they have the set lead here with Speed Win, but it resets here for item mode in a best of 5.
By the way, one kind of funny thing to note is I'm looking at the heart rates right now of the players after we had that long tech pause, and it's way lower than it normally is. I think everybody was able to just kind of take a chill pill, relax for a moment. But all right, let's look at this one. So already Guard kind of getting flashes of Rock's esports as he's taking a pretty sizable lead right now with the water balloons coming in from MSJ on the flank. I'm liking this play.
Yeah, this is, again, one of those tracks where you can use those water bombs. A lot of these mine tracks, actually. I mean, there's so many narrow, nice big banana as well. And Hojun with the body blocking in between the railing. This is the same strategy that some Rocks had of just keep the lead, block them with whatever you got. If it means you have to use your cart body, do it.
Yeah, and by the way, this is such a tempo-based track that for a moment there was almost no players with any items in their inventories, as everyone is just trying to cycle through everything they get as quickly as possible to close the distance on Hojin, as Hojin still barely in first place. Dalton now finally able to pass him, so LSB coming to life a little bit here. The item ace with a big play, and Hyunsu also taking the shortcut until he gets sucked up by the UFO.
Yeah, he's going to get slowed down just a tad bit. But we do have a Siren on Hyunsu, so he has some good defenses there to try to keep the lead. And then Dalda with a Magnet as well. So this means Dalda actually now has the opportunity to not only pull someone back, but try to overtake should Hyunsu lose that first place in the third lap.
Yeah, and Dalda actually losing all that momentum right there on the up ramp means he's going to fall to 8th place. It doesn't matter how high ranked he was. He doesn't have the momentum to continue keep going up that uphill. And now for Hojin and Hero, it's going to be mostly on them to try and get this one done. You see Nock doing some nice body blocking right there on Hyunsu. As soon as he passes, actually a Thunderbolt coming in. Angel Shield wasn't able to block it because of the extra attack. So MSJ picking up some more tempo right now, even with boosts and more Angel Shields.
Yeah, I love it. I love the double attacks. Hyunsu not going to land on the shortcut. He wants to make sure he recycles items so that he can get some attacks, but we're going to have that Angel Shield come out. And now the body blocking coming into play. You still have an EMP on Hero as well, so Magnet not going to be able to be used, but no one has it anyway. UFO gets dispelled immediately, and Hero, there's nothing to stop him as he crosses the finish line, bringing a point lead here, 1-0 for MIRAENSEJONG in item mode.
And Liiv SANDBOX in that home stretch had literally no items left at their disposal. It was just them trying to cycle through as fast as they possibly could to stop the racers from MSJ from gaining tempo on them. And you know, this is the style that we see winning more and more as this meta is starting to get figured out. It's a lot faster paced with all the additional gears coming in with the heroic tier, and also with some of the new items as well. You know, there's not as much emphasis on wombo combo because when you add in new items, suddenly that means that you're getting the old items less as well on the 3-star tracks. They're getting a little bit more diluted. I don't think we've had a single instance so far that I can recollect, at least for the games that I casted, where in item mode, one team gets like 3 or 4 Thunderbolts. But go back to the preseason, that was a pretty common occurrence. So this type of base play paying dividends not only for Rox Esports earlier on today with the first team match, but now with MSJ here in the second one as they won speed mode. They're now up 1-0 here in item mode. Can they keep the momentum going as we move on to the next track? It's going to be Forest Mushroom Caves. MIRAENSEJONG 2 map wins away from sweeping Liiv SANDBOX here, both in speed and item mode.
Yeah, we'll see if they can continue that momentum, because if they can, I mean, MIRAENSEJONG, just because of the players on this roster, a lot of people said they're still going to be a contender, even though they're under a new pro team banner here in the regular season. Meanwhile, Liiv SANDBOX, they were always meant to be a contender, and if they lose today, they are actually going to fall further behind than they ever have during the preseasons.
Yeah, but they're also getting some really tough opponents to start this one out, right? Their opening match on day one to really kick off the regular season of the KDL was against the Freaks. And it doesn't get harder than that, as those two teams were, you know, going up against each other in the finals every single preseason. They're arch rivals, but now MSJ coming in, showing why a lot of teams, as you said, were really high on them ever since that event in Daejeon. This is a star-studded roster, and they're off to a great start again here. And Nock, Hojin, and Hero really filling out the middle ranks. Dalda and Jimin for LSB just a little bit behind.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be pretty close as we enter lap 2. Now, before we get towards the end, again, water bombs can do a lot of damage, as we see right now. But the timing, actually, Hero avoids it just in time. So he's going to be able to shoot far forward with a shield. He's able to use it to defend. He still has a magnet to pull someone back if he loses that first place.
Yeah, and Liiv SANDBOX right now actually not picking up a lot of attack items, mostly nitrous and shields. So we do not see a water wisp coming out. It is deflected there by Guard, and UFO also even popping. Was so close there in the first rank, but actually it's going to be Dalda, the item ace for Liiv SANDBOX, who gets slowed down. And now for MSJ, I'm really liking their position. They have a Thunderbolt on Nock. Hojin right now in third place has double nitrous.
Yeah, and the shields are being eaten up as well. G-Man, they're trying to draw out all the shields. They're waiting for that Thunderbolt, and we'll see if the Nitrous can come into play. The shield is eliminated. Where is that Thunderbolt coming out from Nock? It's coming in now, and there's no defense. You even see the Wisp coming out from Hero as he boosts forward. Sure, he gets spun out, but now the Magnet comes into play as Hojin shoots forward across the bridge. Excellent, excellent timing coming out from MIRAENSEJONG as they lead 2-0 in item mode.
Yeah, not having an Angel Shield there to deflect the Thunderbolt means that Liiv SANDBOX loses so much momentum just 300 meters out from the finish line. And MSJ, once again, having a 1-2 punch available. It wasn't Hero, it was Hojun. They were the double nitros, but really either of them, whichever one didn't take the aggro, had the potential to cross that finish line first. So really a tremendous win for them as they are playing at the top of their game right now. I mean, I gotta say, I saw this roster on paper, but I watched them their opening matches, and I wasn't really buying into the hype of MIRAENSEJONG, even though they do have the star power.
Sure.
But here coming in against Liiv SANDBOX, dominating in speed mode, especially through Hero's skill, and now in item mode going up 2-0. They're looking like stars.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this as we were getting prepared for today, but also it just seems like most players are getting more and more used to Kart Rider Drift as we prepared for the regular season. We'll see if that trend continues as we get ready for match point on the side of MIRAENSEJONG. We go into Mine Magma Cavern. No item wins yet tonight from Liiv SANDBOX. They're going to have to need another one here as they try to make a reverse sweep happen to get to that ace match.
A couple of early attacks come through. Hojun in first place, already picking up a shield, so able to deflect one of them. We'll see if he gets a second item. Oh, actually, I think he missed that item box there. I don't really know how he threaded the needle on those items, but something happened.
Yeah, well, he doesn't make that mistake again right now, getting that double shield. He's going to still be able to hold on to that relative lead, but Jimin's actually pressuring him. They both spin out off of the track, water bombs and barriers. They're continuing to be strong on this track for the most part.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX doing a good job of not letting MSJ really run away with the tempo. His guard actually there, I think, maybe just wanting to play the rear rank role, just wanting to kind of go for some more aggressive items to back up Hojun there in first place. We see him drive off the track. Now it's going to be Hojun with double shields in first, and Hero with a siren. Hoping to catch somebody, but not able to do it.
Yeah, good block just on one player, but he's still able to just maintain his position. Now Hojun not able to hold on to first place. So we're not seeing a dominant tempo yet from MIRAENSEJONG, but as you've mentioned before, the items, oh, nice hit. The items are being used so liberally by both teams that it really just might come down to a speed race at the very end of the third lap.
It does kind of feel that way. Oh, I love this siren from guard. Actually getting two of them. One of those players, I think, actually spun out into the lava.
Yeah.
Which is great. On Magma Cavern, there are some really precarious angles, some tight turns you got to take with lava surrounding you. So sirens and also those rockets, you know, with the balloons that cause you to spin out. Very dangerous on this track.
Oh, Jimin, nice dodge on the water bomb, but the barrier actually holds on to Guard, so Guard gets pulled back a bit. Now that means Hero up front, and it's actually better because he had the EMP and now refreshes to double shields. He's able to block out one, still refresh to another double shield as well. EMP on Guard. The defenses are there for MIRAENSEJONG.
Oh, but the water balloon comes through. Two of the MIRAENSEJONG players get caught as we have 300 meters left to go. It's going to be double shield right now on Hero. Jimin going to make a play right there with a nitrous, but he gets caught by a water wisp. Byung-Soo, though. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I thought he had it. And instead, MIRAENSEJONG just absolutely pumped up. That was so close with Nock barely edging out Byung-Soo in the final moments. I thought Liiv SANDBOX had a fighting chance, but no.
Oh, man, that hurts. Byung-Soo, he was somewhat aware of it, too, but I think in the last second, he thought he was clear, and he wasn't paying as close attention to how to body block against the wall. He was just trying to make sure he was guarding all the potential options, and Nock threads right in between the wall and Byung-Soo for a clean 3-0 in item mode. And that brings home the 2-0 match victory for MIRAENSEJONG.
That's basically a sweep. MIRAENSEJONG are going to be really happy with this one because they just took down one of the toughest opponents in the league. And for Liiv SANDBOX, I mean, you can see this is kind of a momentum killer for this team. I mean, losing the first match of the season to the Kwangdong Freaks, that's always permissible. They're going to be your prime opponents in the postseason most likely, but now coming through, as you said, this is probably the lowest that they've been ranked through KDL this entire year, from preseason 1 to preseason 2, and now here into the regular season, falling 3-1 in speed, 3-0 in item to MIRAENSEJONG. That's a painful, painful defeat.
Yeah, and you know, we always kind of like to look at the tier differences between the pro teams and the amateur teams. I mean, part of it is really, of course, just the organization and the backing you have, but that generally means you also have more resources to build a star-studded roster. And Liiv Sandbox has now lost to 2 out of the 3 potential pro team opponents here in the KDL in both Guangdong Freaks and MIRAENSEJONG. So the only pro team opponent left for them would be Seongnam Rocks awaiting. Meanwhile, MIRAENSEJONG, they beat Seongnam Rocks. Of course, it went down to the ace match, but a victory is a victory. And now, with a clean win against Liiv Sandbox, only dropping 1 round, that's got to be a confidence booster as they prepare for Guangdong Freaks in the coming weeks.
Yeah, that means Liiv Sandbox, not only are they 1-2 overall in the standings, but they have a negative set differential and a negative round differential. Oof. So those tiebreakers coming through, you know, at the end of the day, we might see Liiv Sandbox in the standings down to maybe 5th place as a result of this defeat. Yeah, that's getting a little bit scary, and actually now we get to see the standings right now, and they're down in 6th, even falling behind Nutmite because of that round differential. That's painful, and you know, I'm not imagining that we are in a world where Liiv Sandbox is not going to make the postseason.
Sure.
I think they're still going to make it no matter what. This team is just too stacked in terms of skill, but you got to be concerned as a fan.
Yeah, and that does mean that their chances of being in the top 3 to make sure they're secured for the postseason is pretty rough, right? I mean, sure, we look at the roster and you say they'll probably still get into 4th and 5th for that wildcard match. Yeah, that's very possible because they had a rougher start to the schedule. But if you're not in the top 3, you just have to play more matches, and then you face potential elimination in that wildcard match. So Liiv Sandbox, a bit of a longer road ahead of them. Meanwhile, MIRAENSEJONG now currently looking to challenge Guangdong Freaks in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough for Liiv Sandbox to get past some of these teams. Like Desperado's been playing really well. Banana is a fantastic in item mode. Ghost has been really good for them in aces. And even in speed mode, this team, it feels like it's very well-rounded. So, you know, the journey is not over for Liiv Sandbox. They might really have to be fighting to get into that postseason.
Yeah, and also just trying to figure out, okay, what else do we need to work on in this current meta, both in speed and item mode. We started to see Seongnam Rocks show a lot of improvements today in item mode. Liiv Sandbox, maybe they have to go back to the drawing board a bit because their selections there, eventually they gave the win over to MIRAENSEJONG. But that's it for team matches tonight. Of course, we still have more in store. 8 more players trying to get into the round of 16 and solo matches. We'll bring you that match right after this break.